begun. Navigating through the highs and lows, a tapestry of stories every flight shows. Feel the rush as we ascend, winds of freedom, they never end. Moments captured in the air, every heartbeat, every dare. So buckle up, let's take this chance. In the sky we'll dance. A daily flight, our hearts in tune, chasing dreams beneath the moon.
Good morning. My name is Gavin Bass1. That's my gamer tag, and I'd just like to introduce myself to you. I've been asked to put a short video together demonstrating how to do a cold start from on an Airbus 320 Neo, and what I'm going to do is show you how to set it up on world map, fly the route, and do an ILS approach. Now, this video is aimed for people who have got Flight Simulator and just spawn into the runway. The aircraft's all already set up, and they just fly and land. But I've had a request from a couple of friends to show them how to actually start the aircraft properly. It's quite a basic startup. This is the first video that I'm doing. The second video that I will do would be much more advanced, where we will be spawning into the airport of where we take off from, but I'll also be showing you how to set up the flight management system, putting the complete flight plan in manually, which is very satisfying if that's what you want to do. So, for those who are interested, what I'm doing here is I'm just streaming it, and then later on today I'm going to cut and paste and put it into a YouTube video for basically anybody to watch. My background in aviation is I held a private pilot's license for about 15 years. I have about 750 hours. I've got a night rating and an instrument rating, but that was all in a small aircraft, and due to ill health, I had to give up my flying, and I now just enjoy flight sim. I've taught myself how to fly Airbuses and fighter jets, and this is just basically a bit of a new hobby for me, and I will be demonstrating lots of different aircraft, how to start them from cold, and basic operating systems on them. But today's all about the Airbus 320 Neo, and we're going to plan a flight from Aldergrove in Belfast to Edinburgh in Scotland. And the first thing you do is when you open up Flight Simulator 2020, this is the screen that you will see in front of you, and you'll see on the right-hand side the world map. So if you click the world map, you go up here, and this is where you pick your aircraft. And this is a 320 Neo. And I'm going to use this nice Alfa Romeo livery because I'm absolutely mad about F1 and racing. So if you go up to the select departure, I'm going to type in the 4-letter code for Aldergrove, which is EGAA. And you'll see that coming there, EGAA. Every airport has got a 4-letter code. And we're going to be going to Edinburgh, which is EGPH. So if you're not sure of what the 4-letter codes are, just go on to Google and say Edinburgh 4-letter airport code, and it'll throw it up. So we're going from Aldergrove to Edinburgh. So that's populated those two places, but it's just given as a straight line. Under the aircraft there, you'll see VFR, direct GPS. We're not going to do that. We're going to use a high altitude airway. So we're going to use a flight plan. So you can see how it's just changed that all and given us different waypoints. Again, in the second video, I'll be showing you how to do this manually on the flight computer, but this takes all the pain out of it if you don't want to go into it in that level. So we can see we're in live weather, and I know by the live weather at the moment that the wind is in around about 220 at 15. So we're going to pick a runway that suits that, and we're going to use the ILS, which is the approach to 24 runway at Edinburgh. So you do that, and then you can see exactly the route that we're going to take, and this purple section is the approach into Edinburgh Airport. The last thing that you need to do is just pick a stand that you want to leave from. My favourite stand in Aldergrove is Gate 22. So if you just focus right into the airport the way I'm doing now, this little stand here is Gate 22. And if you just press that and set that as departure, that sets up the flight completely. So along the top, you've got EGAA, EGPH, Gate 22, and the approach to runway 24 in Edinburgh. And then you just press fly. So this video at the moment's not really aimed for people to watch live, but you're more than welcome to do so. I'm just going to go through absolutely everything we need to know and taxi out, fly to Edinburgh and do the approach into, fly out of Aldergrove and do the approach into Edinburgh. It's a short flight, less than an hour, but it's worth taking a bit of time just to get this part of it right. So that brings us into Aldergrove. It's live weather and it's ready to go. And as you can see, it just brings you straight into the cockpit, cold and dark, no lights on, nothing. And if you go outside, then you can hear the wind howling and you can see the beautiful aircraft sitting on the stand, cold and dark. The pilot's not in it yet. You can see the baggage, the catering services, everything's there. So I want to show you how to make the flight absolutely immersive, so you can enjoy all of the different features that Flight Simulator will give you. So if we go into Cockpit, we're going to start the very beginning of the startup of the Airbus. And if you go up to the upper panel, this is what you'll see. So the first thing you do is you turn in the two batteries at the top here, battery 1 and battery 2. Now, whenever you do that, that automatically contacts the airport's tower and ground and lets them know that you're going to set up this flight to Edinburgh.
GAV1 and Golf Mike 60 cleared to Edinburgh Airport is filed. Takeoff runway 25 climb and maintain 5,000 feet. Departure on 119.875 squawk 414 tree.
GAV1 and Golf Mike 60 readback is correct. Contact ground on 121.755 when ready to taxi. Good day.
So it's accepted the flight plan. It's given us permission to fly to Edinburgh, take off, climb to 5,000 feet initially, and it's a squawk 4143 that all needs set up, and I'll show you how to do all of that. So the next thing you do then is turn on your external power. And then after that, you put on the nav lights, and I would always just put the beacon light on at this stage as well. You obviously put the no smoking sign on and the seatbelt sign on here. And along the top here are your nav aids and stuff like that. So they've already been turned on this this engine, so we don't need to go into there. But on some other models and on the next video, we need to turn these three on, but they're already on automatically. Next thing you do then is you set up your fuel pumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You turn all of those fuel pumps on, and after that then you turn on your APU master. You start it, and then once this little start light, which is now on blue, once that turns green and says available, then at that stage you can then turn on your APU bleed. which is this button. That basically fires up the little engine at the back of the aircraft, which generates power for the aircraft while it's not running its engines. So it's now lit up, available in green, and you just press APU bleed, and if you go outside you'll probably hear the little engine at the rear of the aircraft here starting to fire up. So at this stage I would like to, I've got a lot of buttons set up on the keyboard to do this, but I'll show you how to do it. You go into the ATC at the top, you go to ground services, and you ask them then to connect the jetway. And you can see that happening here. The graphics are unbelievable, the details unbelievable. And the second thing we do then is we ask them for the catering service. And you'll see the little rear door opening here and allowing the catering to load up the food and drinks for the passengers on the flight. And the third thing you do then is ask for the baggage service, and you'll see then the baggage service doing the same thing, and there'll be a little front door at the hold at the front of the aircraft there that'll take that in. And you can see the baggage then go. So at that stage then that'll all happen automatically, and you go back into the upper panel. The beeping noise is just a warning to let you know that there is a jetway connected to the aircraft, but you can turn that off just by pressing the safety master warning switch. So cockpit view again, and I'll just show you a few things then just to set up at this stage. If you go down to here, you've got your speed brakes, and you would always pull them up and have them unarmed, and you would also have the flight director turned on, and you would have this CSTR button just above the flight director turned on as well. And we've been cleared to 5,000 feet, which is set, and you set that on this little button, which is your altitude selection, and that is about all you do at the moment. You can turn on the VORs here if you wish, which will do, but they don't seem to do an awful lot in this mode. And you can also turn on the terrain and weather radar on that little button here. So that's basically the aircraft setup before we start the engines. And you can see the catering service is doing its thing. You can see a lot of clouds starting to settle in now, so it's going to be very much an instrument flight. There's not going to be too many visuals once we get above the clouds, and I'm not too sure what the cloud level is at Edinburgh, but let's hope it's low and we have a really good, exciting approach into Edinburgh Airport. So the catering's done its thing. The baggage seems to be set. We're just waiting on the baggage trolley and automatic steps here to be removed from the aircraft and the front door hold to close, and then we can go in and we can start to think about getting the aircraft set up slightly closer to ready to taxi. So we'll just let this do all of its stuff, and there comes the baggage stairs coming away. Just waiting on the front door hold to close, which is doing now, and we can go back into the cockpit. And we are ready really to set up the pushback. So we'll go back up to the upper panel. There is an order to do this in, but I sometimes just rush it. We'll stick the wing lights on now, the strobe light. Now if you're an Airbus pilot, they'll probably tell you not to put the strobe light on at this stage because you'll blind people on the ground. I'll put the runway turn lights on, and I'll also put my taxi light on. And we'll put the taxi light on to taxi, not takeoff. And that's us all set up for a startup. So at that stage then, again, I have this all set up on keyboard, but I'm going to do it the manual way. You can request a pushback, which I've just done. And you can see the pushback tug coming up to the front of the aircraft now. The air bridge is being removed, and while he then just comes up to the front nose wheel of the aircraft, he'll raise that slightly, and I'll get a little indication inside the cockpit to let me know that everything's connected. And then at that stage I can then start the pushback and start the engines while we're pushing back. So he's ready to push back. I'm going to release the parking brake, and the pushback then begins, and we'll go back to the cockpit and we'll just start engine 1 and 2, which is engine 2's on the right hand side here. We'll start that. And we want to just push back far enough not to hit the EasyJet aircraft behind us, but to do a clean turn to the left if we're going to be taking off on runway 25. So I'm requesting the end of pushback now. He stops, I put the brake back on, and at that stage we go back into the cockpit and we'll start engine 2. With the auto brake set to on as well, so that if we have to do an emergency stop on the runway, we can do. But we're just getting taxi clearance now to go to runway 25, hopefully. And we're just waiting on these instruments then to come out of the red and into the green before we then turn off the APU, and then the aircraft is totally live without any help. So they have turned green. We can then go up to the upper panel and we can turn off the APU bleed, and we can turn off the master switch for the APU. We can also turn off the external power, and just checking everything else is ready here. Seat belts are on, all the lights are on that we need to know. We don't need the takeoff lights, the runway lights or anything. Taxi lights are on, and we're ready to taxi. So the only thing we need to do then is set the first stage of flaps, which are here, and I'll just put those down to the first stage, as you can see. And we can then go back to the cockpit view, and we can then release the parking brake, which is down here, just here, sorry, and we can start our taxi towards runway 25. So we'll give it a little bit of right hand throttle here, this one, just to start movement. And that's us up and running. And what a beautiful morning in Aldergrove, eh? And we'll head then towards the holding point for runway 25. And we'll try and do it as professionally as we possibly can and stay on the yellow line with the airport. I've kindly painted there for us to stay on to avoid other aircraft. As we taxi then down towards the runway holding point for 25, where we will be taking off from. It's not Alfa Romeo livery on there, but beautiful. You can see all the different aircraft there in all the roads at the moment. So on the left there is the general aviation terminal for the light aircraft and all the road. That's exactly where I parked my light aircraft when I had my pilot's license. Literally just in here. And we operated out of a little hut here. That's where you done all your flight planning before you went out. And I must say it was a lot of fun. But due to ill health, I now don't have a medical, and I now just have to do it on flight plan. But I was never an Airbus pilot, regrettably. I think if I had to choose my life back 40 or 50 years, I would go down the aviation route rather than the route that I took. That's the car business. But heading down back into the cockpit view, you can see us then coming to this point of the flight where we need to stop. There's a line here that you must not pass before you get clearance. So that's the line right in front of us. So we just stop here and we put our brakes on. And right now we're asking for permission to take off. So I'm not sure whether the air traffic's coming through loud and clear on the video, but yes, I've just had a clearance from the tower that I'm cleared to take off. So at that stage then I can then just turn my taxi light on to take off, and I can put both of my landing lights on. And also the last thing to do is I'm just going to change the range on the little radar here so I can see the flight plan better. I'll put that to 80. That gives us a radius of 80 miles. So we'll line up on runway 25 and we'll start our preparations for takeoff then. As you can see in the front of the aircraft, the landing lights are all on. So we're all good. Take the throttle off because we line it up nice and neatly on runway 25. Use our left throttle then just to take it round onto this point. And again, you stop the aircraft and put the brakes on and get back into the cockpit view, and it's your final checks just to make sure that you're happy that everything's there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off and we're going to climb to maybe a couple of thousand feet before we engage the autopilot, and that will then kick the aircraft into autopilot mode and it will find our track to Edinburgh. We'll climb to 5,000 feet until we're given permission to then go up further than that, and we'll then disengage quite a few things and turn off all the landing lights and stuff, and then I'll probably just cruise for a while and then start the stream again when we're doing the approach into Edinburgh. So all's good, we've been cleared to take off, I'm happy that everything's set, so it's full throttle and off we go. About 140, 145, and you rotate very gently and get the nose wheel off the ground, get the attitude set nice, and then up comes the landing gear. And you can see the weather radar is quite fierce at the moment with all the cloud and rain that's about. Keep it nice and straight and level. We're happy with the speed, we can let the flaps go. And at 2,000 feet we can then hit the autopilot. which is this little button here, this one. Again, I've got buttons mapped for it, and below that is your auto throttle, so that will then put it in auto throttle mode, and the aircraft is now completely flying itself. As we climb up through the clouds, I'll give you some nice views of that. The other thing you can do at this stage is you can make sure that your speed brakes are set to 0 and your auto brakes and different things like that are all off, which they are. So we've been cleared to 5,000 feet. Let's just see what the air traffic has given us now. They've spoken to us, so we'll see what they've actually said. If you go down here to the very bottom, you'll see that they've given us a clearance to fly to 17,000 feet. So if you just go over to your altitude meter here, and you can set that to 17,000, which you can see me doing now, and I'll set that, and the aircraft then will fly. As you can see, it's now starting to find its route, and it's climbing to 17,000 feet as we pop through the clouds. I always love this bit when it just breaks through the clouds. Right now we're bang in the middle of a cumulus cloud, and it shouldn't be long before we're popping through. As you can see now, up we come, and we're through it now, and this is what you would see out the window. So we're climbing to 17,000 feet. We're just you can actually zoom in here and you can see everything an awful lot clearer. But we're coming through 9,300 feet. Our airspeed's at 250, which is perfect for climbing, and our attitude's perfect for this short climb to 17,000 feet. I dare say that they'll give us clearance for something a little higher than that, but let's just see how it goes. It's all down to the air traffic. I can request whatever height I want by going into air traffic and asking, and I'll show you how to do that if you want in a second. But at 10,000 feet, you can turn off your lights, your taxi lights can come off, your landing lights can come off, and of course these runway lights can come off. And because there's not too much turbulence, I can let the crew know that they can start to serve drinks, and they can let the passengers go to the toilets and stuff like that. Probably a little early for the passengers, but sure. So we're climbing up to 17,000 feet, and we'll just wait then for air traffic to give us our next instruction. We're leveled off there, and it's now given us clearance to flight level 230. So we need to go in and set 230 on our system. So just in there, set 230. That's set, and you can see it starting to climb even further now. And we're now set the barometric pressure to 2992, which is the standard once you're over 10,000 feet. Again, don't take that as absolute gospel, but I'm quite certain that's how it works in flight planning on an Airbus. that's what I see out my left window, and that's what I see out the right window. That's what I see behind us, all the different fuses and breakers for the aircraft, and the overhead panel. But again, today's video was all about a basic startup and an ILS approach to Edinburgh. There's an awful lot more you can go into in different models. In fact, you can get study level aircraft, which I normally use now, and every single button has got a function and needs to be used at some stage in the flight. So at that stage, I'm going to shut up. Well, it's just cleared us to Manchester now. We have to contact Manchester and speak to Manchester. See what they want us to do as we are en route to Edinburgh. It's actually given us a clearance of 370. I don't think we're going to get that high, but we must do what we're told. So we'll change that to 370, we'll engage that, and our aircraft will then automatically climb up to 370. So if you ever want to reference the map, there's a map. Go up here and you can press this little button and it'll show you the VFR map, but I have a button set. Just press it, you can see on this little map where you are. So we left EGAA, we're crossing here, going over actually roughly Stranraer and heading then towards Edinburgh and swinging in from the east into Edinburgh, the approach there. So on that note, I'm going to shut my microphone, shut my mouth, and grab a coffee, and I'll be back shortly. Enjoy the views from 33,000 feet, or 37,000 to clear to. I don't think we're going to get as high as that until they ask us to go down. And then I'll come back and talk you through the approach to the ILS, and we'll land at Edinburgh. Thanks for watching, and always remember to give us a like and follow on both Facebook, or not Facebook, on Twitch and on YouTube. That would be greatly appreciated, and then it will alert you whenever I'm doing the next video that we'll be setting up the FMS and flight computers to do this completely manually. Over and out, Gavin.
Cold and dark on the ramp at EGA. Flip the battery on, external power, that's key. IRS align, 3 knobs to NAV. Wait for that align, gotta give it time to have. Fuel pumps on, seat belts click. APU starting up, hear that turbine kick. Bleed air on, now she's alive. Set your MCU, it's time to thrive. From Belfast skies to Edinburgh lights, we're climbing up through cloudy heights with flaps to 1 and spool in thrust. Trust the checklist, fly you must. It's more than just a sim delight. It's A20 dreams of flight. Set the inner page, fill your route, EGA to EGPH, no doubt. Cost index 50, cruise FL30, 0 fuel weight. Now we go, go, go. Flight plan in and perf page next. V1R, V2, triple check the specs. Flaps 1 for takeoff, trim the load. Taxi lights on, now take the road. Pushback done, taxi via Alpha, hold short runway 22, yeah that's her. Takeoff config test, no warning beep, toga thrust, we roll no sleep. Rotated 138, gentle hand, positive rate, gear up on command, climb out to date, ANAV mode's tight, autopilot on, enjoy the flight. From Belfast skies to Edinburgh lights, V&A climbing through those heights, set cruise, sit back, review your charts, prepare that descent before it starts. We're high above the rolling tide, in an Airbus bird we proudly ride. Top of the cement ILS for 24 in the wind. Course 239 set in your dash, radial inbound, no need to crash. ILS on glide slope arm, LOC is live, stay calm and charm. Flaps 1 then flaps 2, gear down slow, on the diamond we follow the flow. Final call outs, check that speed, flaps full now, meet every need, runway in sight, AP off in minimums, manual flare, now here she comes. Thrust to idle, nose held high, main gear down, we kiss the sky. Reverse green 70 knots slow, vacate left, that's how we go. Welcome to Edinburgh, flight complete, from cold start to touchdown, mission sweet. So next time you load in and feel that glow, just sing this song and let it flow. Ready to go.
Okay, Captain back. Remember to follow me on YouTube and Twitch. And we're now cleared to descend on our approach to Edinburgh. We're 52 miles southwest, I think, at the moment of Edinburgh, and we've been cleared to descend the 23,000 feet which have set, and at this stage we need to start getting our thinking caps on about exactly what to do next as we level out at 23,000 feet. I hope you enjoyed that little song that I put together. All of the words and the song all written by myself with the help of AI and all different gadgets. I hope you enjoyed it. But we're now descending and levelling out to 23,000 feet and just awaiting our next instruction. At this stage I would set the range to about 40, and that gives us an idea of how far we are exactly from the airport, as you can see on this computer here. We can actually turn up the lights, the brightness of the PFD here, and we can turn the WX brightness up here. It doesn't really do an awful lot, but I have them up full. You can still see the flight track here, but if you focus in, you can see it much clearly. This is our route into Edinburgh. So we're just waiting on air traffic now to give us our instruction what to do next. And we'll just go back into the exterior view. I really hope that anyone that watches this is finding it useful, because whenever I first got Flight Simulator and my friends got Flight Simulator, they were just flying and taking off from runway with the aircraft already started. And you know what? The fun of the whole thing is starting it, loading up the baggage, loading up the catering, getting fuel on board. I didn't do that actually, I'd done that before. But again, on the next video I'll be showing you exactly how to work out how much fuel you use for your trip, making sure you have enough in reserve if you've got an alternative airport to go to in case there's bad weather at your destination and you have to divert. So we're passing down through 19,700, 600 feet now, as you can see here. We're perfectly on track and we're about to take a left-hand swing round to the approach, and once we hit about 12,000, 11,000 feet, I'll start to set up everything for our landing. So we'll just go back into the outside view and we'll enjoy watching the aircraft banking to the left and starting to head down through the clouds. as we approach Edinburgh. So there you go, we're banking left and we're heading perfectly on track en route to the land of Scotland. If you want the aircraft to go down slightly quicker, you can go to the vertical speed and you can adjust that down to say 1500 feet per minute, and that will help us get down ever so slightly quicker. Now Edinburgh Tower will be speaking to us very shortly, and it will be giving us QNH settings which we will be putting in here to make sure that everything's on sync for the weather at Edinburgh Airport. In the next video you'll be watching me going into the flight computer and setting up the approach there and putting in all the weather information, the temperature on the ground, the wind direction and speeds, runways, all that sort of stuff. All the manual adjustments that you have to make, which is very, very satisfying whenever you get to know how to do it. But for now, we're just doing a basic, as I said earlier in the video, cold and dark start, preset flight plan through the world map and our descent down into Edinburgh without having to put all the information into the FMC manually. And at this stage I would just change the range to about 20 miles, and that will give us quite a detailed little map and diagram of our track into Edinburgh Airport. I'm going to turn the autopilot off now and start to do things a bit more manually. So we're now descending down to 6,000 feet and we're fully manual. As we start to punch down through the clouds. Put a little touch of air brake on just to make sure that we don't go too much further over 220. So it's asking us to contact Edinburgh Approach now, so we're going to get some details of what to do next. So 29.63 is what we need to set in here. That's our pressure on the ground at Edinburgh. So 29.63 is set, which we've done. And we're passing 10,000 feet, so we can now put our passengers back in their seats and the no smoking sign on here. We can also turn our landing lights on, and we can turn our runway turn lights on as well. And we'll knock it back into autopilot and auto throttle. As we now start to bank towards Edinburgh and level out at 6,000 feet. So that's leveling off at 6,000 feet, and we can start to do a few more checks. So we'll make sure that our speed brakes are armed. and we can also make sure that our auto brakes are set in case we need them for landing, and they're all set here. Now at this stage we can turn on the ILS, and that's going to populate this little screen with two little purple buttons. I'll just focus in on that just to show you. So whenever this little purple button goes into the middle, that means that you can actually set your localizer, and that will line up the aircraft perfectly to the runway that you're going to land in. And this little purple arrow on the right hand side, it will start to come up to this yellow line, and when it approaches that yellow line, you can then press your approach button, and again that will then put the aircraft into a fully automated descent and glide slope track. So we're 12 miles out. And we're going to descend down to 4,000. And we're now waiting for this little purple diamond shaped object to come over to this little yellow line. As we swing round to the left now towards the ILS. And you can see the little purple line is the little purple diamond is coming into the middle. Whenever that meets the middle, you can press this localizer button, and we'll do that now. So the localizer is now set, and we're descending down to 4,000 feet, and we've been actually cleared to 3,000. So we can drop that down to 3,000, and we can watch for our glide slope to come in on the right hand side here as we're lining up now for the runway. At this stage we can put our first stage of flaps on, which is here. Get the aircraft completely set up. And we'll just change the range to 10 miles, and you can see that's our approach into Edinburgh. And with about 10 miles out, I'm just going to stick the second stage of flaps on just to slow everything nicely down to about 180, 185 knots, and wait for that glide slope to come in as we descend down to 2,000 on the approach. So by magic we should start to see the airport starting to appear in front of us. Everything's set up beautifully. We're on the localizer, and airspeeds are right. We're descending down to 2,000. So we've been given clearance to land on runway 24. At this stage we put the landing gear down. And put the third stage of flaps in. And the final stage of flaps, blowing everything nicely down for our approach speed to the runway. And at that stage I'm going to turn the autopilot off, and I'm going to fly manually into Edinburgh. Everything's nicely set up. And you can see now that we're on the glide slope perfectly well.
500.
With a little bit of a crosswind here, so we'll correct it as we get closer. Our airspeed we can drop down slightly now. 400 feet off the ground, and you can see the runway lights.
200.
200 feet. Airspeed's perfect.
60. 50.
As we drop her down now into Edinburgh Airport.
20. Retard.
Get the nose down, get the power off, in the reverse thrust, and get her stopped on the runway. So it's off turn on the next taxiway so we can park the aircraft up. We'll put our APU bleed on. And we can see our stand in front of us to the left here as we turn around and line up. That'll do us nicely. We'll put on the parking brake. And we can go up to the upper panel then, and we can engage external power if it's available, and it is at this airport. We know that our APU now is working. We can turn off our strobe lights. Turn off our wing lights as well, but keep some lights on to let the ground crew know that we are still live. All these lights can come off and we can actually let the passengers get off their seats, and at that stage we can just go down then and we can shut the engines down. I'll show you how to do that. That's these two little buttons here. So engine 2 off and engine 1 off. And you can hear it powering down. And at this stage then you can ask for the jetway to be connected. You go to ground services and go to ground and then go to a ramp connection. You can see the little ramp coming to the aircraft there, and we can go to the air traffic again. I'm not too sure if there's catering or baggage here, but yep, there's the baggage, and we can also ask for the catering as well. So there's the hold open at the back, or the door open at the back for the catering truck to offload all the dirty dishes. The little elevator is now being pushed up towards the hold, and the little driver of the truck then brings the baggage carts along to the front of the aircraft to unload all of the luggage. Back to cockpit view, and if you really just want to switch everything off, well then at this stage what you would do is just literally disconnect the external power, turn off the APU, turn off the fuel pumps, turn off the lights, and that should be us very close to a cold and dark. We'll just go back and we'll turn the batteries off as well. And that's the aircraft right back to the state that it was in whenever we left Aldergrove. As you can see outside, everything's happening. And you can have a little look round to see what's going on. We have aircraft beside us. We have a nice Neo here. And this little guy has come in beside us. And that's the end of the video, that's the end of the stream. I'm going to put things together in a much more watchable version for YouTube. And again, remember to follow and like me on YouTube and Twitch. I'm Gavin Bass 1, and my next video is going to be a cold and dark start, spawning in at the gate at the airport that we're leaving from, but I'll be showing you how to set up the flight computer to put in a manual flight plan with all the information that's required. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Gavin Bass 1, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon.